We will cover Savanah Guthrie and her mom in just a moment, but first, do I have to do one of these, you ask yourself? Yeah, I do. I think I'm pretty much done listening to anything more this man has to say. I will tell you what, this was his brightest spot. This was Pat Contry and Ian Ferguson's brightest spot in their CU podcasts. Now, what I'm about to do is a response to the Super Show 29. I'm not going to show any footage because I don't really give a fuck. You can go find that yourself. It was done the last week of January, but this was their brightest spot. Was the Coleco Chameleon? Yeah, you remember this? I mean, we all remember the Coleco Chameleon saga. I can almost remember the most of the chapters by heart. From going to the toy fair in 2014 to following up on was it the mysterious Mr. Lee and Mike going on other ventures to try to rip off people. And that was about it. So, and then you had the whole Amico scandal with Tommy Tallarico, other faulty new Messiah consoles like retro consoles like the was it that Orange Pie, the Evercade or not Evercade? What was it? It was another one. It was not Evercade. It looked like a little Sega Genesis that John Hancock had tried himself, and it was like, retro. Maybe it was a retro Sigma engine, retro engine, and there was another one that would openly let you look for open source emulations search engine, which was not good for legal terms. And was it one of the was it Steve Harvey's The Big Time show where you could demo that. So this was their greatest strength was talking shit about these idiotic developers who were trying to rip off people with their fake consoles. Now, let's get into the politico, the politics, because that's what they got into. Okay. Now, this was in their intro. They had a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes of their intro was about what you thought it was. Now, they had the first nail in the coffin, I think, was when they, and by the way, if I was Review Tech USA, I'd probably be sweating bullets, but there's a reason why they don't talk to Review Fuck Rich Burnell anymore, even though these two are the same political woke side of things. So if you're a Diablo Immortal fan, you are probably not following these two anymore. They never apologized for talking shit about Diablo Immortal. And Review Tech USA made a very excellent point is that people paid for hotel rooms, they paid for flight tickets to go all the way to this gaming show. Much like E3 or the Summer Games Fest, there was an announcement and they said that Diablo Immortal would be a mobile game. It would not be Diablo 4 or Diablo 5 or whichever one of these things. I don't know if it's like first person or turn based strategy. I forgot. But it's one of those gotcha loot box kind of things that they were pushing on people. And the guy, remember the bald dude with the red shirt said, is this an early April Fool's joke? And, they went on. So basically, Pat says, hey, relax. I'm still waiting for, what is it? The Unreal Engine. I'm still waiting for that one fighting game, fuckers. Why don't you talk about that? And the Ian says, shut up. Just shut the fuck up. Shut up. Fuck. And people, that video was ratioed to hell and back. And a lot of people dropped out of sight. Now, the things that Pat does these days, he's quote unquote retiring. He retired a couple of years ago from the usual CU podcast scene. And obviously, he's there on Wednesdays for the, what is it, on Twitch for his commercial retro reaction stuff. So, I was not a Diablo Immortal fan. I could care less. And even when he defended Kamala Harris, now, the not so usual, the not so typical podcast, that's the one where it's just Pat by himself, no Ian, right? So he had the Pat math, not the Pat meth, but the Pat math, as to how do I put it? How Kamala Harris was going to win. the election by a landslide or have this flawless victory. He was trying to be as objective as possible, but came out poorly. And I also remember the time he took a shot at Elon Musk. And that, oh, if Elon Musk lied about one thing, what else is he lying about? Like you already knew that he was going to attack Elon Musk. So at this point, at year 11 of the game, I can kind of tell the difference between those who are promoting fake outrage, cough Tim Russ, Robert Picardo, Whoopi Goldberg, Star Trek actors, people, the cunts on The View, other people, Democrats, professional left wingers who are career politicians, professional career newscasters whose job it is to gaslight you into submission, into believing their bullshit. And those who genuinely believe in their bullshit, Linda Carter being one, Lanny Manella, maybe William Shatner. And I do believe, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that Pat and Ian are genuinely believing in the bullshit. Because they don't have too much power. They know that these days compared to other newer and brighter and fresh out of the box YouTubers. They know that their audience is shrinking a bit. So they genuinely believe in the power of the left, okay? So even when they went over Kamala Harris and all this stuff, I said, maybe they still have good content. They could bash Tommy Tallarico for the 100th time. But even that gets boring, okay? Mike Kennedy's gone or dead or whatever. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about Savanah Guthrie before we close out. But when they got to, Mike Kennedy's gone and Tommy Tallarico is destitute, okay? But when we get to the CU Podcast Super Show of number 29, which was the last week of January 2026, they got on to the narrative of ICE agents and Renee Good, Alex Pretty, and some other people who were fighting the cops. Essentially, all these people died or were incarcerated and were fighting the cops. They focused on the one woman who, remember, ICE agents cut off the seatbelt. Remember, they cut her seatbelt and pulled her out of her car and dragged her or carried her off by her arms and legs. When you're trying to get a suspect and hog tie him. That's sort of that hog tie position. It's like, okay, 4 guys have to grab her and haul her out. Brought it on themselves. Now, most of us have figured out, if we're college students, that if Tim Walz hadn't been doing dirty money giving away, okay, Indian giving, his money to Somalia for that Somalia daycare for some sort of benefit, leaving the daycares in Minnesota destitute, if it was easily comparable to that of what happened in the city of Bell with Robert Rizzo. If Robert Rizzo had waited till 2026 to do his dirty dealings and hide up behind a sanctuary city, Robert Rizzo would not be in prison, at least for a while. So it's all about corrupt politicians taking taxpayer money for their own purposes, and cheating the taxpayers who work hard and work harder than even me, okay? Whether I'm monetized or not. I have a funny feeling I'm going to go about 20 minutes on this, so bear with me. You can skip ahead if you would like. Skip around. But Tim Walz hiding and using that taxpayer money and then making a sanctuary city because he could benefit the most money from illegals, he made things worse for himself. If he had just let the police do their job. And I was listening to Spencer Pratt, who I probably think is the best choice for mayor for Los Angeles. In the end, I think that ICE agents are a red phone contingency plan. They're a red phone backup plan. ICE should not be your first choice to crack down on illegals. They should be your last choice. Your first choice should be police, sheriffs, Army if you need to get Army, or SWAT teams if you need to hire SWAT teams. If there was a dangerous guy, now let's take Jose Corona. Jose Corona was somebody who chopped up his wife in pieces. Do you remember America's Most Wanted? and what had happened. That was after a quinceañera. Now I think if he's alive, he's a legal citizen, so it's not going to fit any narrative here right now. But except for the fact that if Trump wanted Jose Corona, I hope I said Jose Corona, not Control. Jose Corona, if he wanted Jose back to America, people would just pull this narrative of, oh, Trump's pulling a Mexican citizen, he's a hypocrite or whatever. They'll just pull some sort of fake narrative. When in reality, we know what Jose Corona did. And the news would be wise to drop that narrative, just like the 5-year-old kid narrative, in which I saw from Megyn Kelly the whole what is it? The judge from Michigan, the judge from Minnesota brought the father and son back. For what purpose? The mother didn't want the kid, and I don't think the father wanted the kid either. But they said they wanted them back. I'm like, what are you gonna do? Put the kid either you put the kid in child services or you send them both back. What's gonna happen, right? So no, ICE agents have children. They're not faceless stormtroopers, as Pat and Ian would tell you. So going back to Pat and Ian, they defended Alex and Renee and all the cop fighters, all the people that spat at the cars. Now, this was 11 days ago. As I'm recording this, this is February 8th of 26, and this was 11 days ago. I don't know if the second, because I think they do their podcasts, they record it beforehand. You have to understand that when new information comes out, and we're going to get into Savanah and her mom in a moment, but when new information comes out, it's shut the fuck up time. Okay? Celebrities who are putting fake outrage, they care about ICE and Jeffrey Epstein and Goya beans and what other stuff? What other things? Goya beans and Tylenol, when all of that stuff is only applied to one common denominator. They don't care about it the rest of the time. Okay? If Al Roker says, hey, don't take Tylenol if you're pregnant, be careful. Oh, thanks, Al Roker. But the minute it's RFK Jr., how dare, or if Al Roker built his very first car called the Cybertruck and it looks like a big, souped up DeLorean, oh my God, Al Roker's cool. He made a Cybertruck. But if it's Elon Musk, fuck Elon Musk, right? Even though I'm seeing Cybertrucks in my neighborhood, okay. And on a side note, I had watched Bad Bunny's performance. I watched it muted on regular television, and honestly, I like the visuals. I like the stage performance, the setup, the stages, but nothing else. It's reggaeton, and I could care less. It's actresses you want to fuck in the ass or dancers who look hot as hell with the nail salon, and then you got the muscular guy. You got muscular Jose selling hot dogs and oranges and shit. So it's like Islos, but Hollywood Disney glorified. So that's all it was. So I know people would say Turning Point USA, but it's whatever it is. Either I like one thing or the other. So the whole point of this is that they politicized their usual podcast. Now, when I talk about politics, I try to keep it separate from other things. I don't have more than one channel. I do have more than one channel, but I would have to get people to listen and listen in. So, if my audience says, hey, can you put your politics on a separate channel? If there's an overwhelming demand for a separate content channel, okay, I'll do it. But for Pat and Ian, they have an audience, and their audience dwindles when they severely. It's not that they take a side. This is not just oranges and apples, as it had been for the last couple of centuries. It's the fact that these oranges and apples are being weaponized. If you like apples, you're a Nazi. If you like oranges, you're way woke cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That's what it's become. It has become this. So I have said all this before, but the fact that Ian and Pat have done this, I don't need to listen to their podcasts. It's fine. Diablo Immortal should not have been. They should have apologized for that. They should have. They should not given a Review Tech USA a hard time, since these two agree on the same fucking politics. But they can't even accept Angry Joe as one of their own, because even if Angry Joe is on the same side as they are, Pat doesn't like Angry Joe. So that's that. So No, I don't. I don't. Kind of done with it. They have become extinct. And one more thing, I think if let's pretend he was genuinely left, Pat would have pushed the left wing news, the CNNs, the CBS Evening News, the ABC World News Tonight, the NBC Nightly News, the PBS NewsHour, all these woke people. Okay, he would have pushed them to be like, "Can we just talk about Kamala Harris and stop talking about Trump? Let's talk about Kamala Harris. Let's see how great she is." Okay, when we all knew it was all bullshit. She was a puppet for the left to say it's not about Kamala. This is the not left person. Okay, and that might have been Pat's wake up call, much akin to this moment in this movie. Do you remember this?
No. Uncle John. John, please. Now! It's old. Marcy can't be real. She never gets old.
Now, the latest I've heard concerning Savanah Guthrie and her mom is that Savanah Guthrie is so they searched her sister's home, her sister and brother-in-law. So you got is it what's her name? I forgot her name. So you got the sister and Tomaso. So those two are under suspicion. Now, there's a lot of different answers you could have. And this has been taking like sort of the top of the pile of news for the last week. And it sucks. If she comes back alive, she can't go back to that house. She would have to move in with her mom back in New York where she can be safe. It would not be the same. But there's two bad scenarios here. Okay. The really bad scenario is that Nancy Guthrie has passed away. That could be the really bad scenario. And the worst case scenario is that Savanah knew. My overall feeling is that that family knows. The brother, the sister, all three of those kids know who did this and don't publicly divulge that. Maybe the FBI knows and the police know, and they know, but we don't know, right? We don't officially know. So they have to sort of lie about it for a while. But the worst thing is that Savanah knows and orchestrated this. That's the worst. So there's no proof of any of this right now. As I'm talking to you, there's no proof of anything. But that's my overall feeling, that those two scenarios where she was in on it or her mom died, those are the worst things that people do not want to admit or face. But right now, my overall feeling is that the three Guthries know who took their mom and why, or maybe at least one of them knows why. So it doesn't look good for anybody right now. And it's just ridiculous. After losing my mom and just so much chaos going on. And then there was a Today Show segment 2 months ago where Savanah went back to Arizona. That's where they are. And to see her mom and everything. And it was like, somebody said, isn't that odd that it's like 2 months to the week, towards that week where the mom just disappeared. And some people suspected it would have been like illegals. But I mean, if an illegal immigrant went and grabbed her, they had to have known who she was. And I don't think some random person like that would have just known. There's a lot of things like they knew that the evidence, the circumstantial evidence shows that somebody knew how to get in there without suspecting an alarm. They knew who they got, right? So there's just a lot of things. So my overall feeling is the family knows who took her and those worst case scenarios. And tonight, instead of read the names of people who fight the cops and ICE agents, I'm going to read to you. These are This is advocates for victims of illegal alien crime. These people were killed by illegal aliens. So Americans killed by illegal aliens. And to make it simpler for me, because I'm in California, you can see you can look up, I'm not sure if it's Aviac, you can look it up on Google. Advocates for victims of illegal alien crime. So you can look it up on Google, but I'm going to read off the California victims and remember all these people. And also, to the wife of Jose Corona, he better be dead, that fucker, because that was horrible. So to any victims of any murder crime, any murder victims, it's bad. But I'm going to read off the California ones and then we'll close out. So Amy Courtlang, California. Lacey Ferguson, California. Officer David March, California. Samuel Shaw Jr., California. And Carvan, I don't know his last name. I apologize. Kate Steiny, California. Anthony Matthew Michael Bologna, California. Tierra Stansberry, California.